Okay, I'm gonna start recording my journal where I left off last time. Now, I did put a few little notes on this advertisement, so maybe I'll cover. Okay, so there's a research center testing, for test studies, and there's only two in the country of the United States, and one of them is a half mile from my house. There's also a blood drive place a half mile from my house. Um, it's probably covered in my small booklet when, what did I call that woman? Alter ego. When she ruined my clothes, then they were washed, they were just damaged. So I put them in a big bag, like a duffel bag that belonged to the double that I was with for a long time. And then I put it on my bike. It was really hard to bring. It was heavy, and it was just a big duffel bag full of these clothes that were clean but damaged. And I brought them to my Tuesday group. Now, they spy on me, and they watch everything I do. So they never say this. It was only an attack on me. So I show up, and it's like, I'm giving this stuff away. It's just like, just warm and comfortable, but it's kind of. I didn't actually say anything really bad. I just said, I got too many, and these are just cleaned, and then I put it up there on the table for anyone to have, to give it away, and for people to look at, and no one came up and looked. Later, one woman who I had talked to separately did take one thing, but I had everything else was still in there. And then the person running this group was like, "Oh, and we can't leave bags here because it's a security threat. It's a security threat, so we can't leave bags here." They never said this before. It was an attack on me. Well, I left it anyways, and just so they wouldn't be concerned, I put a note. I took a piece of paper and I wrote "Free, woman small," and I put it on the bag and I left it. That's right. You guys, they knew I biked a mile and a half with a gigantic duffel bag. So everybody just sat there. Nobody looked at any of it, and they're like, "Oh, you can't leave the bag here." Too bad. I left it, and then I put "free" on it. So hopefully someone got it. But anyways, this is the type of stuff they do. So I haven't been going back to their group, and I thought that God wanted me to move on to bigger and better things. And this was not good. And I thought it was a mission to work with these people. And some of them, I see good in these people, but they always attack me. And so maybe there was some reason I was interacting with them. But at this point, what do you call that when you like to be hurt? Sadistic? Masochistic? Sadistic? I don't need to show up for them to attack me, poison my food, give me dirty, disgusting things, or be rude. I don't need to do that, and I'm not going to go. I'm not going back. No thanks. You guys know I would have been a good friend, but instead you just chose to attack me. So I'm not going back to your group. And, okay. So I'm not covering what happened today in this video. Excuse me. Some of the other life recovery groups, they give you these name tags. So, okay, so this is January, February, March, April, May 18th, 2026. I don't even know what this is about, so I'm going to try to understand my notes and try to see if I can make it out. Something about music across a street, native time. Okay, what am I talking about here? I don't know. Okay, so I already covered this. The native male leader did not approach me, kind of tried to hide off to the side and seemed nervous when I came near. I think I already covered this. Well, Oh, okay. Those were just notes I didn't write down the day before. Okay, so I had got, this was an answered prayer. I was almost out of my instant coffee, and I prayed to God, if I'm not going to buy more if you want to upgrade me. And so I had to go to the doctor because I was probably nearly killed from whatever they gave me. Just going to say, I always get better, but not from this. And then after I went to the doctor, I was sent a message to fill out a survey, and then I got a $20 Starbucks gift card. So I still had like $6 or $7 left on this gift card. So there's a Starbucks. There's a Starbucks less than a half mile from my house. But this Starbucks is not in an actual Starbucks location. It's in a hospital. So there's a big hospital less than a half mile from my house. And there's a Starbucks right in there. So, of course, sometimes I go there, and you're allowed to just go right to the hospital to get a Starbucks. This is a small town, so it's not as busy as a major city. So it's not that big of a deal. So I go in, and so if I go in the main entrance, then just down like one or two doors is the Starbucks. And so then I was heading to the Starbucks, and then a man, like, I see a man, and I think he waves at me or says hello, and I wave at him, and I said, oh, I got a gift card, I'm going to Starbucks. And he was talking to the person at the help desk and said, I'll be back. Because he, like, acted like he really wanted to talk to me. Now, this is an older man, and I have seen him before at the soup kitchen. So it's someone I've talked to, like, 2 or 3 times before. I saw he would be at the soup kitchen, every once in a while. But we actually did talk a bit, and he's not like a bad guy or anything, but I do think he tried to hit on me the first time. And he doesn't really like me, as I said, but it's probably like, if he's alone, you will do or something. I don't know. But then I'm like, oh no, I don't even know what I said. But he actually is not. There's like no attraction there, so it's not uncomfortable. But and then we actually talked about other stuff like government buildings and stuff like that. So maybe like owning property or something, Social Security, I don't know. So anyways, I had talked to him before, and it was not awkward, and it was not weird. So I get my coffee, and then I leave. And then he like invites me to like sit next to him. So I could have just left. I was very close to the door, but there's some seats there on the other side of the entrance. So we went and sat down, and we were talking. And this was a divine appointment. So basically, I don't know how they knew I was going to the hospital, but maybe he said he was visiting his brother at the hospital, and he just happened to be right at the help desk as I walked by. So if the help desk is here, I just went like this way, right past it to go to the Starbucks, which is very close to the help desk. And we were talking for a bit. He tried to hit on me again, but he's not attracted to me. I think this is more, I actually think that this is a test. Because he's not mean about it, and he doesn't, I don't know. He's not, like, mean about it. I almost think it's like a test from God. It's like, no. But then he drops it, but he had, like, 3 old Bibles, and he was, like, just reading, and he read some scripture, and then he mentioned he had properties, and he had lived on an island for, like, 6 months, or he was like a famous, he was like the music guy everyone knows, and like he's like a celebrity or something. I don't think so, but I said I've been living under a rock, so I don't even know who's a celebrity or not. So he's like, he's trying to like, so that's why I think this is a test. First of all, there's no actual attraction there, but then, like before, I think one time at the soup kitchen, he like tried to ask me out or something, and I said no, but he was okay with that, and he was fine. And I think he was paid to do this. I think he was paid to do it, honestly. And then this time, then he's like, oh, and I got to live on an island and just do whatever and live the good life. And he's like, I'm a celebrity in the music world. And first of all, I don't really believe it, but it's possible. It actually is possible. But I'm like, I don't, I've been living under a rock. I don't know who any celebrity is. Uh, and so, like, he's talking for a while longer. And then he mentioned he wants to settle down with like somebody and just have one kid with him. And I'm like, and so he mentioned maybe like if we got to know each other or something, and it wasn't like pressure, and it wasn't rude or anything. I said no, um, but I said if you want to make music sometime we can do that. But he gave me another message, and he said he was an angel. I said, why do you think you're an angel? He said, well, I got my reasons, and so he said he was given a message to tell me something. And the message he told me was something about restoration in June. And it is June now. It is June 17th. I am not restored. Was it going to be the last day of the month? I don't know, but I said, maybe you're right. Because, see, like, he tried to. So I think he was testing me. I really think he was testing me. Because then he's like pretending to have a bunch of properties, to be able to live on an island, to have money, and to be a celebrity. And it's like, no. First of all, I don't believe it. But even if it was true, then no. But he actually did not seem upset. I think he was paid. I think he was paid to go and ask, because the narcissist would pay people to come and attack me and pay people to hit on me. And then the narcissist actually tried to hit on me first. And when that didn't work, he stopped going to the soup kitchen and he hired other people. So I don't know who is paying this man, but he's an older man, and he kind of likes like Rastafari or something. He says he owns a house and he just lets homeless people stay. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. But he actually seems like a pretty nice guy. And I don't think he actually was interested in me. I think somebody paid him, and I think they paid him as a test and not even as an attack. To see, because there's a lot of people spying on me. Mostly bad, but some good too. They spy on me, and they want to know, am I going to sell out, or am I going to get with somebody for money? Am I going to get with somebody for fame? And the answer is no. Let's see. So I kind of think that is the situation. But anyways, and I drink my coffee. Now we talk a long time, and then I actually finished my whole large cappuccino, and I realized they sweetened it, even though I wanted it unsweetened. So this was probably a curse or something. I don't know. It was still pretty good. But we were already talking. I wasn't going to go back in there and ask for another one. But I just like it plain. I don't want it sweetened. But it was still pretty good. But oh well. But he said at the end of our long conversation, like he had these old Bibles. So they spy on me. They know I'm interested. I want to make music. They know that I'm interested in religion. And I like to research and pick apart Bible verses and find the history and stuff. So then he was in there, and he was reading that too. So if he's religious too, he's reading the Bible, and he's a celebrity in the music scene, and he's rich. No, of course not. He's too old. None of that's going to work for somebody that's the age of a grandfather. No, maybe he's 60 or something, or 70, 60, I don't know. So, no, of course not. But actually, he seems like a pretty nice guy. And I think he was paid. And he said he was an angel, and he had a message, or then he said something. He gave me a message about, like, being restored in June. And I'm like, maybe you're right. So, like, I actually believed him when he said he thought he was an angel. But he didn't really specify why. And it's the way he said it. The way he said it, he was not being sarcastic. I could tell he believed it. And he actually then gave me that message. So let's hope it's true. Um, okay, so anyways. Oh, this is on the 18th. Okay. 18th. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to write this down. Because actually, I was just wondering about this the other day when he said that, and I was wondering what day it was. And then, this is the honest truth. Yesterday, I was thinking about the meeting with this man, and he said possibly restoration. He's like, "Oh, hey," and then he's like, "Want to talk?" And actually, before I get into that, I was wondering what exact date it was, and I skimmed through this and I couldn't find it. And then it turns out it's the first thing I read the next day, which is today. Anyways, okay, so he also was like, "Hey," and people would wave at him, be like, "Hello," and acting like he was popular. And maybe he did know the person at the hospital. Maybe he knew the doctor. And I'm sure that he's got friends and stuff. So, that's good. But anyways, I think it was to see if I would get with somebody for money or get with somebody for fame. Anyways, yeah, I don't understand. I must have written some notes from previous days. So the guitar strings man was acting weird. The pastor was behind me. Blood work. I won a prize. Got free blood work. Want my information. Money left at 4:03. Free meal. Clothes. Went to church. I went to the post office. I think I've already recorded this. This is Mount Calvary Strikes Again. This is Mount Calvary Strikes Again. But I did not record the meeting with the messenger at the hospital, and it was all lined up. I prayed to God. My coffee almost ran out. I prayed to God asking for an upgrade because I had went to the doctor because the narcissist poisoned my drink. Then I filled out a survey and got a Starbucks card. And then um, I went to the hospital to use my Starbucks card, which is next to my house, and there was a man there. All of this had to happen, and said he was visiting his brother, which he hadn't seen in like 20 years or something. So all of this had to happen for this meeting, and then he was ready and waiting for me, and we spoke for like a good 15-20 minutes. This was a long conversation. So this is the type of planning like God does, is just arranging everything in advance. So okay, I'm gonna skip yeah, I've already recorded this. This is Mount Calvary Strikes Again. um so then after this, um the witch house across the street, when I canceled demonic assignments on my street, and I like cleaned my, I don't remember, I prayed something to like get rid of the enemies and strongholds on my street. And then that house across the street and over was sold, and it had a for rent sign on it. So Memorial Day and Sunday church, I went to McDonald's. The time on my receipt was 8:18, which adds up to a 17. 8 plus 8 plus 1 is 17. I had a scratch-off ticket, which I'm totally against the lottery, but I received a piece of mail that said you get a free lottery ticket. And so part of me thought, is this like a joke that God wants me to get this, and this is how I'm going to be restored? Because God knows I don't play the lotto. And I didn't pay any money for it. It came in the mail, and I thought, maybe this is how God wants to restore me. And so I got the ticket. I went through the drive-thru on my bike, and I got the ticket, and it ended in the number 17. I think I still have it, but it didn't win. So that's not the way again. So I don't know if I did the right thing or not, because I would never buy one, but I had a free scratch off ticket. So I thought that was okay because I didn't pay anything for it. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have got it. I really don't know. Because I thought maybe I was being maybe too strict with the rules and then God was going to use this. But no, I found out that was not how I was going to be restored. And then this day is when I had the download. I want to say download. The epiphany. People say download. Before that, that's what the word epiphany meant. Is it's like this understanding or knowing that just, it's like from God. God gives you an instant understanding. Like a eureka moment. And it's from the spirit realm. This is an epiphany. So that's what I had. And maybe it was somebody said this in church too. I don't know. God punishes, or maybe it was in a video. I actually see a lot of prophecies in videos. So it was revealed to them that God punishes the disobedient for not following Mosaic law. And that's why Jesus allowed pigs to possess the spirits, because they think they don't have to follow the... This was actually... So I had to go through a lot to get to this point. This is the day that God revealed this to me. Before, I'm trying to be more delicate, and I'm trying to be more polite to people, and like, oh, we're not supposed to eat that. This day, I got the knowing, I got the epiphany that God intentionally possessed the pigs with spirits to punish the wicked, thinking they don't have to follow God's laws. So now they're going to be cursed. And God and Jesus were together in agreement. So the disbelievers, the pagans, eating mice and swine, thinking they don't have to listen to God, well, fine. Now you'll get cursed. Now, it's not that they're necessarily dying, but people, they get greedy, selfish, kind of rude, overweight, health problems, this type of thing. The more of it they eat, they take on the shape, appearance of a swine. So I can really see this. It's just like God has given me whole new levels of understanding. Like a man met me at one of these meetings, someone I'd never seen before. And he's like, you're the first one that knew about the Sabbath and not eating ham. And he said he used to go to a church that followed the law, and then they got corrupted. He said, you're the first one. So we were just outside talking a long time, and we were talking about religion. And I said, I was talking about that biblical holidays, and it's like, well, they could just move it a couple days, and at least if they tell people to follow the law. And then this man told me, that's the very least they should. So something this man said, this was knowledge from God. So here, I don't want to compromise with the world, but I'm just like, well, if the churches would just tell people to follow the law, and then move the holidays over a couple days, do the same thing on a different day. He's like, that's the very least they should do. I don't remember exactly what he said, but that was the message I needed to get from God. Is now it's time to get aggressive with these people. They try to murder me nonstop. They ruin my life. They wreck my house. They're making a mockery of Christianity. They're pretending to worship Jesus and love Jesus while they try to kill Christ, and while they basically do the same things the pagans did and don't follow any of the law. And I'm just going to say, if you look at the way the modern Christians live, some of them are told to follow the law. Most of them aren't. So they will be in open marriages, they will be swingers, they will be in all types of relationships with multiple partners, all different genders. And having abortions is much worse than this. Having abortions, putting on makeup, wearing the tight clothes, being vain, and the male equivalent of that is probably what type of sports car and their suit. It's not that these things are bad. It's that they're doing it a certain way for to look better than others. This is what. So, I'm trying to think of what else. Eating forbidden food, eating the ham. I can't stop that. Being rude to others, attacking others, gossiping, slandering, probably stealing if it's convenient. I'm trying to think of all the rules, like basically breaking all of the rules, not following any of the prescribed holidays, following all of the pagan holidays. Um, the worst might be even doing witchcraft. They're like all cursing people and using witchcraft and doing black magic. So, this is nuts. This is totally nuts. Um, and actually, like, um, promiscuity is horrible. So and I'm going to say honestly what I believe, is if you are in a relationship, like a gay relationship, but you're with one person, and like you're married, you can't really be, but you're living like a married straight couple, then I don't think that is really, you're just hurting yourself to not be able to have children. But I don't think my opinion is that that's not really, it's not really that bad. I'm just gonna say I don't. And I'm sure there's gay people that go to heaven, and this is my opinion, so I don't know, but this is what I think. But I also know the kingdom of darkness tries to make people gay, and they use witchcraft to do this. But the problem is that the lifestyle in a lot of these communities is about a lot of partners and promiscuity, and not even just going through the ceremony and like saying like that they are spiritually married makes it better. I'm just gonna say, obviously it does, but then eating the pork, I think maybe eating the pork is worse, because then later this was revealed to me that it was the original sin. Like, don't eat the fruit, it's not an apple. Don't eat the fruit, and now it's don't eat the pork. It's the same thing. That we are cursed still by the original sin. I can't be cursed by your sin. You can't be blessed by me not sinning. That's not how it works. But the original sin was do not eat whatever this is. And so this is what is leading to the downfall of the world right now still. It's an open door to the demonic realm. When you eat this type of food, it's an open door. And many times people are eating this multiple times a day. So, of course, abortion is worse than eating pork. And the pork spirits are not like, you're not going to get possessed with spirits that are serial killers or things like that. No. But they are things that are kind of humiliating. So maybe you'll take on the shape of a pork. Like, I'm not a pig, take on the shape of a pig. So it's like that type of curse. So it's relative to the sin. Anyways, so I just want to make it clear, even though God's design is not for people to be gay, lesbian, that's not God's design, but I believe that people like that will go to heaven. I do. But, maybe I could be wrong, because this is just what I think. But I also know that the devil possesses people with spirits that cause them to have certain proclivities. But, gambling is a sin. Looking at scantily clad pictures is a sin. Well, we kind of know what it is, and look at the modern society. It's like they're breaking all the rules. So I just want to, I do want to make it clear is that I am not against gay people, and I'm not against homosexuals, and I believe that some of them will be in heaven, and I'm not going to say because I don't know who will be there. I really don't. I don't know. It's God's decision who goes to heaven and who doesn't. Or maybe we can all eventually get there once we do the reforms. So my belief is that I have seen evil spirits bashing homosexuals in a way that is hurtful, and I believe that is a bigger sin. And this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but I do believe that to say hateful things about certain groups is a bigger sin. But these people, they attack me all the time. They have tried to murder me. I'm gonna see what's going on here. I've got another small notepad. I've got another small notepad that I'm going to cover later. So I guess the next entry is May 24th. And I looked at my watch, and this is the honest to God's truth. It has an hour, then it had a 22, then it has two more numbers. I'm not going to say what those are, but what it had in the time when I looked at my watch was the year I was born, the day I was born, and the month I was born, and a 22. So, and let me see, because, and if you add up all of these digits, it is a 22. So I wake up, it's early, I look at my watch. The numbers, so I got the hour, the minutes, and the seconds. I've got a 22, I've got the year I was born, I've got the day that I was born, I've got the month I was born, and then also all of those digits add up to a 22 when I looked at my watch. This happens all the time. Okay, I went to Salvation Army. Remember, I was invited there when I stopped at the yard sale. And the first song I think they sung was that Our God is an Awesome God. I do like that song. And I have told other people before in different church services, I like that song. So then I show up and they play it. So then that's probably letting me know these people are enemies. They're enemies. They couldn't get me. So they pretended to invite me to a cedar meal, which I really wanted to do, and then they ghosted. But they also tried to poison before then. Like a couple days before then, they tried to poison a drink. But I just tasted it and then I did not drink anymore. So they probably were trying to pretend to be my friend and then murder me because I trust them. So, but then they played the song that I like because I went to another service and I mentioned I like that song. But none of those people attended. So that's why I think all of these people are talking to each other and I don't even know about it. Excuse me. So they're getting new officers in. The old officers are leaving. They're going back to where they came from. They came from several states away. They're moving back. They were only here for a short while. And then after I go to a couple of services, now they're leaving again. And I think I know why. They were caught. When they were doing prayer requests, somebody asked to pray for a cool place to go for people when they were hot that didn't have air conditioning. And guess what? Once again, they do this to me all the time. They will pray what everyone says except for the one thing that will help me. Then they don't pray. So it went around and people gave their prayer request and somebody prayed for a cool place for people to go that don't have air conditioning, which is me, and they did not pray about this. They do this all the time. So I guess they are enemies. Somebody mentioned their granddaughter turned 17 during this service. So they already invited me, but this is just more confirmation I'm supposed to be here. They normally have free Sunday meals. They're not having it this week. I think they're trying to punish me, and they're heading back. They're not having any more kids' activities until they leave. As I said, what I thought about this church and what was going on, and I saw some red flags. And now, no, we're not doing the free meals now, and we're not going to do any more kids' activities until after these officers leave. And they don't pray about what would help me. And the day that they're leaving is my birthday reversed. This is nuts. How do you live? So there was a young man that also volunteers there, and he was giving the sermon that day, and he was talking about a mask. So like a narcissist wears a mask. And even though you know Scripture doesn't mean that you have the love of God. To follow God is to be uncomfortable. You will be hated by others. With feet, feather, not stone. Be different. All different gifts. Teach, serve, charity, mercy, encourage, lead, etc. And he had a verse, Romans 12 something. So this was a young man giving a very good sermon with a relevant message. And he just spoke off the cuff and did a great job. He was a little nervous at first, but he did a good job. I guess they covered, someone said Jesus was a demon because demons can do magic. Yeah, that's why everyone in this whole town, the whole town I live in, everyone is doing magic. They all have demons. They're all practicing witchcraft. So that's why they thought Jesus was a demon, because he was doing magic. So he was accused of being possessed. And why? Because everyone that is possessed is able to do magic. And that's how they curse and they spy and they cast spells, like this entire town does. So this makes so much more sense now. It didn't really make, like, I kind of understood it before, but now I see this is the absolute truth. Like, everybody here is doing magic and they all have demons. Okay, one of Jesus's friends died, said none of us would carry a cross. We would all. Okay, so during the sermon, then the speaker said that none of us would carry the cross. We would all back out. But I know that I would, and not only would I, but I am, and I know I am, and God showed me confirmation. Because I went to go and I bought a fence post, and I had it cut to make a railing at my house. And this is when I was with King Herod, and he drove me to the hardware store. And so I had it cut to the right height to make a banister. And then I had the extra piece. And then I sit it down on my porch to open my front door. And then I notice I have sat it down, and it is a cross. I had just carried my cross. And honest to God's truth, I could take a picture of the pieces of it now. I had no idea this would happen, and I did not suspect it. I just had a 6-foot fence post, and I had it cut to be the right size for a banister. And then when I sat the pieces down, it made a cross, and that was a sign. And then King Herod said other things to me as well, about who. So the people at this church, the pastors had mentioned something about me and who I was, and then King Herod did. And then I said, this, and I told him it was a cross. I was like, weird. That was totally a sign from God. So they said all of us would back out. None of us would carry a cross. Well, why would they teach that? I guess most don't want to. That's the truth. But I did, and I am. And maybe there are other. I know that there's got to be some more. There's got to be some more. But when they teach, go ahead and sin, it doesn't matter how you live. Some of the churches actually do preach to pick up your cross and follow Christ. But I have only seen that they do that while I am there. And then if I see like a sermon online or something when I'm not there physically, they don't say this. So they only say that when I'm there. But, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not all of them, but most. There's all different types of churches. So some are preaching like a good message, but is that just because I'm there? Or would you preach this if I wasn't there? Then I thought about making deals in my sleep, which I rejected and then was treated bad. I must have had a dream that I wrote down. And they okay. So, at the end of the service, they all quickly invited me back the next week. They all quickly invited me back. And I said, well, I'll go unless, this time I put a caveat. Because they were all real quick to swoop in and say, can you come back next week? And I told them, I will come back next week unless God wants me to go somewhere else. So I added that in. And God did want me to go somewhere else, and I did not go back. And they did show themselves as enemies too. Now, maybe not all, but it's like they just wanted to stop me from going someplace else I was supposed to go, I think. But, during this service, now the young man who was doing the sermon talked about doing good deeds, and he talked about like paying for the homeless to eat, paying for a meal for the homeless, and keeping it secret. So he was talking about doing this good deed and feeding the homeless and doing it in secret and doing that for God. He said this during the service. And now, of course, I am not in a good financial situation, and I was hungry. I hadn't eaten, and I didn't have money, and it was Sunday, and the soup kitchen was closed. And then at the end, like, I went to the bathroom, I come out, and I walked past people right after this man had preached about feeding the homeless. And they know that I'm not in a good situation, and I'm on a bicycle. I'm the only one that rides a bicycle to the church. They know this. And then I'm leaving. I said, oh, I'm gonna go get something to eat, and then I leave. And then they all run away, go to their cars, and drive off. So this was another confirmation, because the guy speaking, he just talked about in secret to feed someone that was homeless, or that was poor. And they know me and my situation. They know my house is wrecked. They know I can't get my clothes clean. They know I can't afford that. They know I was hungry, and I said I was getting something to eat. No one offered to get me any food. They actually ran away. And they didn't offer me a ride either. So, like before, someone said they would give me a ride, and it was a lie. So I think it's that devaluation. Like, they were pretending. They wanted me to think that they were my friends or they were on my side. Like, oh, we got this camp coming up, and you can come. And then they tried to kill me before all of it. And then, oh, now they don't want to do it anymore. So it was all a trick. So then they did invite me back the next week. And then I'm thinking, well, I'm not too excited about going back there next week, honestly. But if you want to get a picture of me for the last day, so you can cast a bunch of witchcraft spells over my image. So no thank you. But anyways, so then I bike to get some food, and I bike like a mile or so down, maybe a mile or two down, and I get me some chicken. Oh, someone said the pastor's wife was at the hospital. Maybe this is some karma. So there's another chicken restaurant on the other side of town. I haven't been to this one yet, so I'm going to try it. Now, I don't think they did anything bad to my food here, but the chicken didn't seem to taste quite as good. Like, the seasoning wasn't quite as good. But actually, I don't think they did anything bad to my food there. That's probably why they hired enemies at the one that's right next to my house. So then the one that's like 4 miles away, 3 miles away from my house, that one, they didn't, I don't think they messed with my food. But then, I'm checking out, and then when I was checking out, I was making sure to get like the cheap and not get any extra stuff. No extra charges. And then the man right after me, he was mad too. He was pretty mad because he thought there was a drink included and it wasn't. And he kind of thought they were nickeling and diming it, and they are. And so that's why when I was ordering, I was trying to keep the price down. And I said, not this, not that. And then he like begrudgingly went ahead and got it. I'm not trying to pay too much attention. So I don't know if this was a trick or if this man actually, he didn't like it either. Every place charges for water. And he thought this meal should have a drink included. But it doesn't. Something a kid saw and tried to tell mom. Oh, okay, yeah. So after I got my chicken, so pastor's wife was at the hospital. I don't know. Maybe they mentioned this somewhere. One of the pastors. I know a lot of pastors. One of the pastors. What? Oh. Okay, this is what happened. Now I'm remembering. So after I got my chicken, I stopped. I stopped at the hospital. I stopped at the hospital, and a pastor's wife was there, and she was walking with her daughter, and her daughter saw me and was like, she didn't wave at me. No, wait. The little girl, who seems like a sweet kid, saw me. And then her mom was on the phone. So the pastor's wife was on the phone. And so she didn't see me. And she just walked straight through. And she was going someplace with her daughter. And her daughter saw me. And she was like trying to tell her mom that she saw me. And she was excited she saw me. But she was on the phone. And I'm sure later they found out I was at the hospital. So, but what was she doing at the hospital? Because at least now I know that she is working for the Wiccan. She's one of the Wiccan witches now. The Wiccan witches of the West. um, okay, so anyways, Joy comes in the morning, dogs, then off to church. Okay, so there was a Revive Ohio event at the park, an outdoor service, and a meal outside on the 31st. Um, this was planned. I actually was on Facebook, and then I saw it, like, recommended me their video, and in the video, they told, they mentioned this Revive Ohio church service where all these different pastors from different churches were coming together. They're giving a big sermon out in public. And this was on the 31st. So I went there. And they noticed I was there. There were some spies and enemies that I was biking there, and they passed me in their car. They didn't know if I was going to go or not, because I didn't tell anyone I was going. I just saw it on Facebook, and then I showed up. So I did not know there was a separate Revive Ohio event at the fairgrounds yet. Or maybe I already went to that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Well, I went to both. And this one was just a combined church service. So on the recording... Oh, wait a minute. Okay, good. I really should read this before. Okay, so I did not go there yet. I was at home and I watched a video on YouTube and I was told about this, so that's why I wrote it down when it was. So it's still the 24th. So it's not the 31st yet. So I did not go to this yet. I just wrote it down and I was planning to go. But on the recording, they said they said when and where this Revive Ohio service was when it was 12 minutes and 17 seconds in, which does add up to 11. And also, I was out biking, I saw a dead, decapitated bird. And the sign, there's always the signs, they're digital signs next to churches and businesses. And there's like one every mile or so. And it said 71 degrees on the sign. And in the recording, when they mentioned the time of the free meal and combined service at the park, it was 12 minutes and 17 seconds in. So... Then the next entry is on the 25th, and that's the Memorial Day Parade. And I believe I have covered... I recorded this separately, so I'm just going to end this video here. And I'm going to put that... I know what I'm doing here. Well, maybe I know what I'm doing. Maybe I know what I'm doing here. Okay. Okay, so I probably should have turned this off, but I did not. Okay.